I'm not sure a few of the guests did after our boat party yesterday, but I had a great time. How about you? I think that was a lot of fun. Thank you. Even with the rain, we survived. So I think we still have a little contention on who won last night. Yeah, see, everybody. I was going to say, who won last night? I think everybody did. Though I have to tell you, when we first went out there with the boats, and there was those cute girls swimming over on the other side of the pool, I noticed they quickly left. So I think we won, but we lost. Go figure. Yeah, I know. Yeah, as soon as you went over to invite them over, they took off. What does that say for us, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't think we used our mantra, have a lot of fun. Maybe you did. Maybe that was the problem. So, geekos. Did you say geekos or geeks? There we go. Anyway, thank you guys. I think that was a lot of fun last night. I enjoyed it. So I want to thank OwnCloud for sponsoring that with us last night and enjoying. Thank you to them. Holger, if you're still here. Great. So welcome to everybody today. We forgot to mention yesterday that the GNOME Hackfest guys were actually not here. So if you went by the room, you probably noticed it was empty. So we have them back with us today after their long trip to the city of Largo. So they'll be joining us. And as you notice, so I'm just doing some housekeeping items here. As you notice, I'm in festive attire, and I notice a couple of you are as well. We have our party tonight, so we're going to party again tonight. Tonight, if you guys pray for no rain, because we want to hold it outside, and it involves fire. Okay, and the fire marshal said if we come inside, no fire. Go figure. So that's why I'm dressed like this attire. Now, we do have beach balls, and if Amy hands you one that's empty, that's a sign of this is your breathalyzer test. So, all right, that didn't go over well. Never mind. I tried. Hey, lunch, by the way, is down the hall. It's not in the room that's listed in the guide. We actually have more people registered than we had planned on, so we had to expand. So it's still down the hall, but it's on the other side from where it was listed in the brochure. Also, we have the Geeko Lounge. I think a lot of people have already found it. That's where the breaks are at. The bottles of water and pop and all that those sweet carbs that we all like to consume, and also the 12.2 DVDs are down there, as well as tables from our sponsors, from Omnibond and from OwnCloud and several others. So make sure you stop in there. We'll also have some pies in there. We have a giveaway that we're doing. So as you buy the tickets, if it was 5 tickets, if you do 5 tickets, we'll give you a slice of pie, and then we'll have a drawing for a raspberry pie, what geekos really know as a raspberry Pi hardware. We'll have a drawing for that at the end. So please participate in that. And also, I wanted to say a big thank you to all of our volunteers from the openSUSE community that are helping to put this together. Please give them a thanks. And I would also like to give a big thank you to the SUSECon team, the events team, those folks that are helping us put this event together. Saved us a lot of work as a community by just being able to leverage them. Steve, thank you for you and your team. And then again, thank you to all of you for attending today, especially where it's a Saturday. Appreciate you dropping in and joining us for hopefully it'll be a fun day. With that, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker this morning, and I'd like to welcome him up on stage. It's Stefano, and the problem is when you learn somebody's name the wrong way with the wrong accent, I always get it wrong. Stefano Mafuli is going to join us on stage this morning. He's going to talk about open source. So he's the community manager for OpenStack. Go figure, huh? So he's the community manager for OpenStack, and I really appreciate him joining us on stage this morning. He's not going to talk specifically about OpenStack, but he's going to talk about a little bit about open source, the history of open source, how it's evolved and how it's evolving into the cloud environment, right? It's very new in that area. So he's going to talk to us about that, some of the breakthroughs that are being made there and some of the challenges that are upcoming. So with that, I would like to welcome to the stage Stefano Mafuli.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alan, for the introduction, and thank you, openSUSE, for welcoming me here. It's great that OpenStack and openSUSE are so much in common, OpenS. And aside from that, all right, so you're awake. That's great. I still need to get my coffee. I can't drink coffee anymore. My doctor said I can't. So in the next minute, I would like to go through the evolution of open source and how the past 25 years have shaped computing in general, and how this new thing of mobile computing, cloud computing, especially are posing a new threat, or are posing a new way of asking us to come up with new ways to defend the principles that made open source. So let me start by saying that I think we have accomplished the mission. We have basically made open source ubiquitous. It's everywhere in the data centers. We have the GNU, the system, the Linux kernel, database systems, all the systems that were designed, that we have designed as an open source community and open source movement to take over proprietary systems. They're everywhere. Right? That's the wholly free operating system is everywhere. All right? We've done that. So that's good, right? We won. But meanwhile, while we were winning that battle, or at least progressing very fast, new things have started to appear. And mobile computing and cloud computing are definitely changing the scenarios. It's an evolution of what we've been working on. We've been working in a time and with a paradigm based on computing products. And now we moved into computing services. And when things change, principles have to change too, have to adapt. So we need a way to define openness in cloud computing. We need a paradigm to move our open source principles into the computing services arena. And that's what I would like to go through with you in the next moment. So first of all, recognize where we stand. In terms of achievement in the past 25 years, I think we've done great. As I said, when I started working on open source and Linux, and here I'm dating myself, I think, if I remember correctly, Linux was about 5 years old. The GNU tools have been around for a bit over 10 years. And I was working for an early GNU Linux distribution in Italy, now unknown. We were going to customers and we were having meetings, pre-sales meetings, starting to explain and tell them, there's this great thing, it's called Linux, and maybe that SCO machine that you have down there that does only backups, you could use our systems. It's a lot cheaper, no headaches. And, when the question came and we had to explain what is Linux, it's that system developed by that guy with sandals, Yeah, but who really? I mean, he does the whole thing that SCO does, a big corporation. Are you sure? And, we tried to explain. Probably things got worse when we tried to explain and started to saying, it's made by hundreds of developers around the world. The question is, are they all like this? So it was hard. It was hard to go through a sale. It was hard to get a second meeting. And, their faces looked more like this. I'm sure you've been in one of those meetings. I can see some of your faces. You recognize that. And today, things are radically different. I mean, if you go to a sale process, I don't know how many of you are into pre-sales or engineers. Right. when you go to a meeting, there is no more face palms. You don't need to go through that step of saying, oh, well, there are hundreds of developers wearing sandals and long beards and long hair. It's more simple. It's more Dilbert style. We'll relate with anybody else. If you're selling Microsoft or if you're selling SUSE, you're playing on the same field. There is an engineer that is lying, and there is a sales guy that is doing his thing, trying to bring the dough home. So it's not only for selling open source, but only when you need to start a new endeavor, a new enterprise, when you have a new idea. You don't think of open source as, it's my research project, something that you do. It's business that you can build for yourself. And lots of people are choosing open source as a way to compete in the market, to disrupt the market, and to innovate. So we've done a lot of good things. I think we won. I think we won in so many aspects that we should be really proud. We should sit down sometime, all the time, and celebrate the fact that we have changed computing radically. We've taken over the proprietary systems that we meant to take over. We have even opened new things, new markets, new scenarios that were not existing before. If you think about big data, if you think about the NoSQL movement, it's all things that have been enabled by the freedom to run, the freedom to study, the freedom to modify, the freedom to make copies, the basic freedoms, the basic principles upon which we've built our movement, the freedom ultimately to tinker. That's what comes with our thing, the freedom to make stuff, the freedom to modify, the freedom to make, and the freedom ultimately to innovate. These are the principles that we have promoted over more than 25 years. And, our way of developing software also has won. Our way of thinking of how you develop new products has won. The guy with long hair and the long beard of Boston that started a movement, loosely coordinating hundreds of people around the world, Richard Stallman, he did something huge. He achieved something that that probably wasn't. He started by saying, "I want to make Unix but better," but probably he didn't even think about how much his ideals would spread around out of software and start polluting or contaminating other aspects of life. We have the companies, and I've learned how we make products, how we pull together brains from hundreds of places around the world, the best brains available in the world to promote, to build something new, and to make it, and we make it faster, we make it better, we make it cheaper. Companies have been studying this, have been learning from us, and guess what? They find it works. There is a whole new research sector inside the business schools that studies how to improve developing new products based on a shared resource pools of brains. And they call it open innovation. We have been calling it the open source way, but it's pretty much the same thing, right? So when we started, when I started working on open source, for sure, I knew I was into something big. I was getting into something huge. Was I expecting that it would change the world so much as it did? Well, I was definitely hoping for it. I'm a dreamer, too. I don't know about you. So that said, let me give you an example of how this open innovation has worked, a very recent one that I think is one of the largest, and definitely the largest that I've seen. And I've been in business for a few years. OpenStack, and the project that I work on. So OpenStack started by the same way that a lot of these systems started. That was Rackspace, a large hosting corporation that needed to have a system that would run like an operating system that would run instead of a machine running on the whole data center. Because and NASA, the large governmental organization here in the United States, NASA needed to solve the same problem. They needed to have a way to better use their data centers to analyze and collect data. So the two companies, two organizations, having the same need, they put the resources together. They found each other by chance, basically, scouting the internet and reading mailing lists, and they decided to work together. And Rackspace had this very huge amount of code running, powering its product called Rackspace Cloud Files, and they contributed that into OpenStack. It's called Swift. NASA had this prototype engine to manage virtualization and compute, and that was called Nova. It's still called Nova. They put the two things together, and they announced it in July 2010, the birth of this new project, and immediately a lot of companies, a lot of other people around the world have joined the OpenStack project. And companies like Nicira, Cisco, they have said, well, you know, you have compute section, you have the storage section, we need to add also compute, virtual network management systems. So the two pieces became three very soon, and things started rolling out extremely fast. And if you look at this is a little bit of a roadmap, how we've been through from July 2010 until this week when we launched the OpenStack Foundation. It's about 2 years and a few months. It's fast and incredible. But the most impressive thing to me, it's this chart that shows the monthly active developers in OpenStack according to Olo. So, and this is something that is confirmed by my own analysis, but I wanted to give you a third-party view of the system. So the monthly active developers, the slope is impressive. I've never seen anything like this. And if you go to Olo and you look for other projects, not just cloud computing projects, and you look at the committers evolution, you will see something like this, like slope like this for LibreOffice. You will see it for the Linux kernel, but that's pretty much it. And the quantity of developers active, we've reached about 170 developers active every month. So that means 170 different people committing code to OpenStack, to an OpenStack repository. It's huge. It's impressive. And this is, together with the amount of companies that have joined the OpenStack consortium, that have made OpenStack possible and have made it successful in just about 2 years. And if you look at the chart, the names are huge. There is nobody missing. Well, there is openSUSE, and there is SUSE missing. No! Sorry for that. Well, there is SUSE, there is, Red Hat is also missing. That's good. So, OpenStack, when we announced the OpenStack Foundation just on Wednesday this week, it's big. We have about 5,600 members and 850 organizations that have joined the OpenStack Foundation. And you can join it too as an individual member, and you can participate into the voting. It's an open foundation, pretty much modeled after, similar to Apache to some extent, but with more. And it's open, and you can vote for a lot of its committees. So you can participate in it. So what I would like to do, since we have still a little bit of time, what I would like to do, since it's just the first days of the OpenStack Foundation, and openSUSE community shares so much with OpenStack, I would like to take a video of you welcoming the OpenStack Foundation. So if you, on my 3, if you yell, welcome OpenStack, that will be on YouTube in a few minutes. Embarrassing. Like, of course, we have to do it, right? So, on my 3, 1, 2, 3.
Welcome, OpenStack!
Awesome. Thank you very much. That'll be on YouTube, I'll tell you. Hit of the day. Say again? Yeah, just follow me on Twitter. All right, so celebration and celebrating the achievement, that's a very important thing to do, and I've learned that it's good to recognize what we've done, where we've been, and to understand better where we can go. I'm a European too. I mean, we like to think that way. So while we're celebrating the achievement of our movement, we need a way to think about, to define the openness for the next generation of computing. So, because basically we think about the principles that gave us GNU and Linux were designed at the time when Unix was dominant. It was a time where we had one processor, one operating system, your data running on your disks, and it was a world made of computing products. And now we are more in a place, the cloud is a place where there are computing services. And mapping the principles that make open source to computing services is a little bit complicated, and we'll try to do that. I mean, I'll try to show that. Because cloud computing blurs the lines of what is a user, what is exactly distribution. And if you look at software consumptions, for example, how it evolved from mainframe to enterprise client-server computing to the cloud computing parts, or how the software used to be running in one box and then in a few boxes, and now it's run everywhere. It's different. It's radically different. So in order to try to define this open cloud, I think it's good to start from the free software definition. And let's look at that, because we all know it, we're familiar with it. Looking at it's simple, it's elegant, for freedoms, very well defined. The freedom to run the software for any purpose, the freedom to study how it works, the freedom to make copies, to help you and your friends, and charge for it if you need to, the freedom to distribute and modified copies, the whole aspect of having access to the source code. These are the principles that define open source, that define free software. These are the principles upon which we have built the innovations and upon which we have changed computing in the past years. So if we try to bring those freedoms, those principles to computing services one by one, we soon understand that we basically can't. I mean, what's the freedom to run for any purpose a service? Do you really run a service? No, the verb is different. You consume a service, you use a service. You don't really run it. And when it comes to the freedom to study how it works, do you want to study the way the platform that you're using works? You want to know the guts of how that thing runs? Or do you want to know how to use the interfaces, the APIs that it exposes in order to solve your problems? Because those are two radically different things. And when it comes to making copies, you realize that you don't make copies of a service. If you just get more capacity if you need to from that service, you buy more, or you get more for free if you have a friend that works there. You have freedom to distribute modified copies, but does that make sense to do? It's different. They don't map very well. I mean, these freedoms are still crucial. Don't get me wrong. It's not that all of a sudden our principles don't matter anymore. Actually, they do matter. They matter a lot, but they're not enough. And because computing services are radically different, the use cases are different. And let me give you an example based on OpenStack and something that I know. The San Diego Supercomputer Cloud Storage Service. so what happened is San Diego Supercomputer Storage Center, they store petabytes of data. They offer services to researchers, physicists, astronomers, and they study big things. They get a lot of data coming in from their experiments, and not only they get new data, they need to store old data. They need to have backups too, and the labs or the departments that are running the experiments, they don't have. Well, actually, they can't manage that scale without running into huge costs. So the center thought, all right, so we will take OpenStack, we will build clusters and that for storage, and we will offer services to our users so that they can keep dropping files inside our buckets. The buckets are bottomless, so they will never have to think about, oh my God, I'm using all my space, I need to clean that backup, I need to move that petabyte of data into a tape system that will go into this cabinet, and then I will have an automatic arm when I need those data back that will pick these things, and it will take 3 hours to restore that backup if I'm lucky. They're getting rid of all that complexity. They just offer in huge, infinite buckets where data can go in and can be retrieved using standard the APIs offered by Swift, the OpenStack Swift. So, but what happens when the users of this service, this cloud storage service, what happens if they decide that they don't want to use that system anymore, that it becomes too expensive, too cumbersome? Well, since it's based on Swift, on OpenStack Swift, it means that the software that operates and runs the cluster comes with the 4 freedoms. So the users can say we can have another cluster that we run at our own premises, or we have somebody else run it for us in their premises. But the thing is that they will be able to replicate the cluster. Fantastic. But how about the data? Well, turns out that if you know the APIs, if you really know how the data is stored, the format of how the data is exchanged, then you could eventually, with time, move petabytes of data across 2 different clusters, storage clusters. And that's why I think it's important, the 4 freedoms are important. But keeping this use case in mind, we understand that data changes everything. That's where open source is not enough. And scale changes everything. It's not anymore. So the open source aspect, the licenses by which the software is distributed, is still important, is still relevant, but it's not enough. So keeping this example in mind, a first definition of open cloud could be something along the lines of, it's software that, it's a service, actually, that respects the user and that enables innovation. So how do you respect the users? Basically, by leaving them free to come in and out of your cloud. It means pretty much it's the same basic principle, I think, that is the one underlying the definition of software freedom. The freedom to run the software, to study. It means that you can do whatever you want with it, with the product. And the equivalent is of doing whatever you want with the service is to be able to come in and out of it. And to be able to do that, you need to know the format by which the data is exchanged between inside the service, and you need to know very well the interfaces and the APIs. So this means that both of them need to be open standards, and that's a very crucial aspect that adds on top of being open source. And then I think that you need to add also a way to enable innovation. so that you don't keep reinventing the wheel. And that it's one of the principles, the freedom to distribute modified copies. That's what enabled open innovation in open source products. And that's something that we need to keep doing, to keep maintaining, to have an open cloud and create vibrant communities and business-friendly ecosystems is actually one of the most important things, I believe. And I've seen it in action in OpenStack. I believe that if OpenStack wasn't that business-friendly, since the day one, we would have not seen that spike and that growth into number of developers and number of active companies behind it, backing it up. So the problem with this definition is that open standards are not well defined, or let me put it the other way, there are too many definitions of open standards. I picked this one, maintained by the Free Software Foundation Europe, because I think it's very good. It's very quite extensive. It's a little bit wordy, but basically what it says that an open standard is a standard that is available to anybody without constraints. It's it doesn't have proprietary extensions or things that have like the embrace and extend that allow for embracing and extend strategies. It doesn't have patents on it, or if they're available are royalty free and all of that. It's all smooth to be implemented. Available in multiple implementation, and this is by competing vendors too, and that's a very important aspect. So I think that the open cloud is open source and open standards that are business friendly, and this is what I think the open cloud is. Because it's important for an open cloud to be focusing on both aspects. You guarantee the user's independence from a particular implementation if there is a lot of businesses offering those competing implementations. If you have an open cloud, a cloud based on open standards and open source that only one guy is giving to you, you may pretty much have the possibility to go in and out, but you don't have a way out if nobody else is doing that for you. And that's the end of number 2. So I want to go to start drawing the conclusions to this. We've been yelling at the cloud. We've done it. You know what the old man is. We didn't like it. When it first came up, you don't put your data up there. It's your data must be with you. But there is something, sometimes the use cases do not allow me to keep my data with me. That's not an option. But so, and this needs, the fact that we have this new thing, this cloud computing thing, the products that are shifting into services, it's just a matter of fact. We have to keep thinking about it. We have to keep using the principles that have made our movement. We have to keep them, make the effort to move them, to transport them into the new paradigm. It's not simple. If we look back, I think that Richard Stallman had it a little bit simpler. Richard had a path that was laid down probably in front of him by the same thing he said, I want to build Unix but better. It means that he had pretty much he had a path to follow. He had Unix, he had the POSIX standards, he had the C libraries. They were fully laid out pretty much. So you only had to re-implement and make them better meanwhile. So little marginal improvements. But he made a very good effort. He created something very good, which is the free software definition. Very clean, very easy to understand, very clear. And he also started a very strong advocacy around it. He created a movement. He started something huge that has been spreading around the world and also outside of software. So we need to stop yelling. We need to start thinking about the fact that we are as an open source, as the open source movement, as member of this open source community, we are very close, very, very close to the leaders. We're not 15 years behind, like we've been with Linux for a long time. We have Amazon Web Services is only 6 years old. They were launched in 2006, although Wikipedia page, I think, has got it wrong. OpenStack is of 2010. Eucalyptus was born in 2008, only 2 years after Amazon Web Services. We're very close to the leaders. We can win this one. With this phrase that has just started, we don't have to play catch up. We can be leaders in this new world, even in platform as a services, and we're getting close to the leaders also in software as a service, although there's no open source logo up there at the moment. But we can definitely win this one. And that's what we're trying to do at the OpenStack Foundation. We want to provide a business-friendly ecosystem that allows business innovation. This is what we will be doing, we've been doing, even if it was not called an OpenStack Foundation, it was just a team across different companies. But we will be providing all the tools to help developers contribute code easily. We'll be doing large-scale testing because scale matters, as a matter of fact. We want to be doing the promotion of the ecosystem by helping businesses understand, finding ways to be competitive, using OpenStack to be creating new things for the open cloud and for the the computing services world. So basically, we need to understand that the role that the Free Software Foundation and the Open Source Initiative have played maintaining the open source definition, the free software definition, advocating for open source and free software all the time, we don't have that authority at the moment. So I think it's up to you. It's up to us. It's up to me. It's up to all of us that work inside companies that are playing a big role inside the new computing era. It's up to us to remind them of the principles that have made them possible. The principles that have made OpenStack possible, because without those principles, we would not be here. We have made a big shift inside the computing industry. We have changed the world. We have moved away proprietary systems out of a lot of data centers. There is a whole new business that has been enabled by our principles. The things that we have said, the software that we have written, the products that we have pushed out in the past 25 years. We've changed the world once, and now it's time to change it again. Thank you very much.
We got a mic? There we go. Thank you, Stefano. See, I learned it wrong, I'll never be able to break that. Years from now, you're going to be slapping me going, man, would you get my name right? Anyway, everyone, thank you for joining us this morning. Again, one more thank you that I failed to make this morning, and that is to those that have volunteered to do sessions yesterday and today. They put a lot of time and effort into preparing those sessions, and with that, I'd like to say thank you to them and turn you over to them to have a good morning and afternoon. And then we'll go party tonight. Thanks to Omnibon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Greg Crow-Hartman, and happy anniversary, SUSE. I'm glad you made it this far.
From the Linux Foundation, happy birthday, SUSE.
Hi, I'm Ross Brunson. Happy 20th birthday, SUSE.
Hi, I'm Ted Cho. I'm the ext4 file system maintainer, and happy birthday, SUSE.
Hi, I'm Andrew Morden. I'm here at the Linux Kernel Summit 2012. Very happy birthday to SUSE, 20th birthday, and look forward to being here for the 40th.
Hi, I'm Linus. Happy birthday, SUSE.